Pottsville. This is also going to be in the line of your path, as well as Atkins. And this is for another 45 minutes or so. So we do have this warning and the sirens going off because of that. We also have that severe thunderstorm warning a little bit farther north in Dover. So Delaware, you're under that severe thunderstorm warning. Could we put a sign on that as far as the timing of that and the counties that are included in this? So that is until 8 p.m. That includes Conway as well as Pope and also Van Buren counties. What we're watching is for the tornado warning. I know Keith just showed you the velocity of that. Is it possible we could zoom out a little bit and show you where this is in relation to Little Rock? So again, that's where these warnings are. Morrilton, you're not getting any storms, but we do have severe storms in Conway. We also have a new severe thunderstorm warning, yes, as Keith just mentioned too, over there in Hot Springs Village. Keith, do you want to talk about that new severe thunderstorm warning?
Yeah, this one came out and it already developed very quickly, Carmen, and this one already has kind of a curl to it, indicating it could be a developing supercell. We have this new severe thunderstorm warning that is in effect until 8:15. 60-mile-per-hour winds and 1/2 inch diameter hail. That's half-dollar size hail possible with this storm. Hot Springs, the city proper, along Highway 70 and Business 70, 270, not included in the warning. Hot Springs Village is included in that warning, as would be Jessieville. So again, we're getting kind of the telltale sign, rapidly developing thunderstorms this evening, and this particular one already exhibiting the signs of a kind of a curve to it, which would indicate it's continuing to develop. Now I'm going to put on the rotation, still a rather broad rotation associated with it, but we're in an environment where there is a lot of shear in the atmosphere, so take this warning very seriously. First of all, we have some very large hail, half-inch diameter, and also 60-mile-per-hour winds. But we are under that tornado watch, and these storms are tapping into a lot of shear in the atmosphere, and we could be very quickly watching a lot of this activity rapidly develop and lead to numerous tornado warnings, a lot like we're seeing out in Oklahoma. Again, we're not going to see that watch area get whittled down county by county as these thunderstorms move through. Every thunderstorm that develops will likely become severe, likely produce some very large hail, and quite possibly produce a tornado, especially now that the ingredients are getting a little bit better organized over Arkansas for more tornadoes versus just along that boundary, Carmen, up along the Arkansas River in the Boston Mountains. That's where the initial threat was. Now that threat is starting to materialize further to the south.
Absolutely, and that's what we're watching too. So Russellville, again, you are under that tornado warning, Pottsville, as well as Dardanelle, and that's where we do have our storm chasers set up. Is it possible if we could go ahead and put that live feed up, if we do have it, just to see what's going on and see what the development is as far as those clouds are going? So yeah, still looking very ominous over there in Dardanelle. Again, our storm chaser is out there with Arkansas weather watchers, and they're watching that very closely. So that is, again, in Dardanelle, that is northwest of us into Little Rock. You are hearing the sirens. What we're watching, I don't know if it's possible to put that stream behind me at the wall. We may not be able to do that, but if you did notice with that cloud, there it is, what we're watching is for this base right here, any more development with that. And just a second ago, it looked like a little bit of scud that was coming down with that. Now, that's not indicated of anything tornadic, but it certainly does look a bit ominous out there. So again, our storm chaser is out there and watching that very closely, and we're going to continue to come back to this image to see if we see anything else develop with it. Keith?
Yeah, Carmen, I do want to point out we just popping in that new severe thunderstorm warning for developing thunderstorms west of Conway. So Conway, you're out of one warning. There is another warning off to your west, does not include you, but places like Bigelow, Bunker Hill, as well as Y in the new severe thunderstorm warning. And that warning is primarily for the possibility of some very large hail. Actually, at this point, it looks up to be about $half in size. We are in a situation now over the next hour or two, I believe, that the weather will become a little bit more dangerous as these thunderstorms start to rapidly develop and continue to actually tap into some of that instability that's left in the atmosphere, plus the very high amount of shear. Just the fact that these thunderstorms are popping up very quickly and immediately producing hail over 1/2 inch in diameter, I should say $half size in diameter, is something that we need to keep an eye on, because at this point, we have all the ingredients in place for the possibility of a quick spin up with any of these severe thunderstorm warnings. So take them all very seriously, Carmen, as we've been saying all evening.
Absolutely. Now, we also have reports now in Conway, 1-inch size hail there, so at least in diameter. So that's quarter size hail. That's closer to Dave Ward. So if you're in Conway, you know where that is. Of course, that's within the city that we are dealing with that hail. We still have that severe thunderstorm warning. That includes Hot Springs Village. So we're going to be watching for some hail where we're starting to see some of that bright pink indicated on radar. So the darker the red, the brighter the pink, that's where that hail potential is. It is possible that we could go up to Conway to see what that storm is looking like, and that is a severe thunderstorm warning there into Conway. Again, we already have reports of 1-inch in diameter size hail, so that does meet our severe weather criteria. That's now going to be heading in toward Vilonia. So this is until 8:15 p.m. Conway, Faulkner, Lone Oak, Pulaski, and White counties are actually under this severe thunderstorm warning. It is just north of Mayflower. It also includes Mountain Springs. Now, we do have that Conway camera to see what's going on, and that is through the RDOT cam. Looks like very slow traffic over there, lots of lightning, and if you look on the ground, that does look like perhaps a little bit of hail. Now, we already have that hail confirmed from reports closer to Dave Ward, and here's a current look through that, a live look. Look at all those hazard lights on with those cars. So yes, I am not surprised to see that hail. We saw that on radar. We've already seen the reports, and now we're looking live right now. Look on the ground. You see that bright white out there, plenty of lightning. That hail starting to line up right there outside of the shoulder, and this is that hail core right here. So again, that was closer to Dave Ward over in Conway. That cell with that hail is moving in and moving east closer to Vilonia. So that's why we do have that severe thunderstorm warning until 8:15 just outside of Hamlet. We still do have that core right here outside of Conway indicating that hail, and it looks like maybe some more hail that could be produced. So is it possible we could go back to that RDOT shot? I just want to show you where some of that hail is starting to fall. So if you look closely on the ground here outside of the shoulder there onto Dave Ward Drive, we do have that hail. And here's the thing with our RDOT cams. If you see anything white, anything that's actually reflecting some of that light, that almost is a surefire way to guarantee that something other than rain is falling. So the fact that we're even seeing this right now through our RDOT cam indicates that that hail is large enough for us to see it. It's going to be large enough to maybe cause some damage too. Look how slow these cars are moving over in Conway because of that hail. It's already backed up there on Dave Ward because of that. So it does look like that hail has fallen. We've had reports of that. If you look at that on the ground, and that hail is going to be heading that way. So if we can go ahead and switch back to radar, we can show you what it looks like with our tools when we look at that as meteorologists. So again, Russellville, you're going to be dealing with that heavy rain. Russellville, you are under that tornado warned storm, that tornado warning that is in effect. I do believe it is until 8:15. Is that correct, Keith? That's until 8:15 p.m. So we have another 30 minutes that we're dealing with that, and we're going to be watching for anything that develops here between Delaware and Russellville. Dardanelle, you are also under this warning, and that is moving east and will be affecting Atkins. We also have that severe thunderstorm warning toward the north for Hector and Dover. We have the severe thunderstorm warning over in Conway for that hail. Do you have anything, Alex?
Yeah, if we could change it to max 2, I wanted to show you all 3 warnings that are kind of near the Little Rock Metro, not in the Little Rock Metro, but we have those 2. Conway, the one west of Conway, is for hail, but I did circle a couple areas of rotation. They're not impressive enough for a tornado, but it's something that we're going to watch over the next 10 to 30 minutes, basically for the rest of the night. If these storms do strengthen a little bit more, they're getting into an environment with a little bit more wind, they could strengthen enough and become tornado warned. Right now, the only tornado warned cell in our viewing area right now is that one heading right towards Russellville. in Delaware right now. The rotation is relatively broad at this point, but there's strong enough winds where a tornado is possible. If we can, little arrow to show you what directions it's moving. It's moving to the east at around 30 miles per hour, right along I-40. So Worthing, Atkins, even towards Kenwood in the next 30 minutes or more. That's when we're concerned about that next tornado. We can go back to Max 1 and talk about that storm over Conway right now. And Carmen.
Over to Max 1. And Carmen, let's get you on to Max 2, kind of reset the situation here. Looking at some very large hails, Carmen was saying that RDOT camera is showing traffic slowing to a crawl around Dave Ward and I-40. But I want to at least spend a little bit of time talking about the tornado-warned storm, getting actually very close to crossing the Arkansas River just to the east of Delaware, very near Sills, if not right over the community of Sills, right on the county line. Moving over into far northwestern Yell County, including the Dardanelle area. At this point, it looks like this storm, actually, the circulation with this storm has been following Arkansas 22 or very close to it for the better part of an hour. And if we were to extrapolate that motion eastward, that circulation center is going to wind up being from Russellville over to the Dardanelle area. So you don't have much time. Let's, can you give me a little bit of time frame here for time of arrival for this, Alex, if you could draw it out toward the Dardanelle and Russellville area based on this storm moving to the east. And we don't have a whole lot of time, Russellville, perhaps about 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Russellville at 7:57, Atkins at 8:19. This warning is in effect until 8:15. Let's check over with Carmen with more.
All right, so our storm chaser is out there in Dardanelle, has been set up. That's where that warning is. So he is on standby right now. Looks like he is noting rotation in that storm that he is watching very closely. So he says that there's fast rising motion with the storm, definite rotation with that. And so you can see that that storm we've been watching, now there's starting to be a bit more of a structure there, and that's what we're watching very closely. He said it is a rapidly rotating wall cloud. So you start to see that wall cloud developing. If you see that little shack on the side of the road there, behind that, kind of at that same level where the roof of that shack is, that's where we're watching with that wall cloud. Wall cloud indicating typically rotation, and our storm chaser is out there right now, Derek, with the Arkansas Weather Watchers, indicating that there is rotation there with that wall cloud. So we're watching that very closely. And that's where that tornado warning is. Keith, do you have anything you want to add with that?
Very clear on that particular shot that we are seeing a significant lowering of the base into that wall cloud. Very well organized storm. Back to the radar, we are getting very close to that storm getting to the Arkansas River. So I really need folks in the Dardanelle area and Russellville area to take cover. Here's where the location is. Right now along Arkansas Highway 22, and this is the Arkansas River right here. So that's circulation along Arkansas Highway 22, right near the Arkansas River. Now, the Arkansas River turns more southeast, but the city of Dardanelle right here, the city of Russellville right here, that circulation center right here, just a couple of miles to the west. Can we do a ruler measurement on that, Alex, just to see how far west, we'll say the location between Russellville and Dardanelle. We're talking about 4 miles away. The storm is not moving terribly fast, but you need to be in your safe location because this circulation is and has continued to be moving almost due east at this point. So Russellville down to Dardanelle, those areas are under highest threat right now. Still a radar indicated tornado. Nothing on correlation coefficient, Alex? Let's check that real quick.
Nothing really, just kind of an empty spot.
Nothing at this point. What we would look for is a radar return, an indication right near where the circulation is of that correlation coefficient being a lot more blue than red. And we're not seeing it at this point. That's good news. That means we're likely not seeing a tornado on the ground uplifting debris into this thunderstorm, but still enough rotation, as you saw in the imagery from the Arkansas Weather Watchers that have been partnering with us this severe weather season. A very well-organized supercell thunderstorm, a very pronounced hook echo located right now along the Arkansas River, just about 3 miles to the west of Russellville and Dardanelle. Russellville, Dardanelle, Interstate 40, right in this area. You folks in those two cities especially, take cover right now. That storm is only about 10 minutes off to your west, and it continues to move off to the east at about 30 miles per hour. And I'm going over to Alex.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to say real quick, we'll focus on a different storm, even though that one, if you're in Russellville and you're in Dardanelle, go to your safe space immediately. But we just got an update for the severe thunderstorm warning that's near Hot Springs Village. There's a tornado possible warning. So it's not a tornado warning. We've seen one of those already, but it's a tornado possible warning for Garland and Saline County. For hail, 1.25 inches, so over an inch until 8:15. So that one also goes until 8:15. Again, tornado possible. We'll take a look at velocities, what will show some rotation. It's not the best looking rotation for a tornado, which is good news, but a tornado is possible with that storm just south of Hot Springs Village, north of the city of Hot Springs. Again, moving to the east around 35 miles per hour. But we'll keep looking at that storm, Keith, near Russellville, because it is...
I mean, a lot more pronounced returns on the velocity data on that. A lot more indications showing that this storm is still strong and possibly strengthening with that rotation. Now, just to the west, let's get a new measurement, Alex, from that possible rotation very near Beach Road, right along the Arkansas River, and let's measure out to in between, and we're back a little bit. We're looking to be about 3 miles just to the west of Arkansas Highway 27 between Russellville and Dardanelle, North Dardanelle. These areas, you are very close to that circulation where that tornado could be located. Norristown, as well as West State Highway 155, Dardanelle Dam Road, those areas are closest to that circulation, located right here. Remember, green is toward the radar and the reds and oranges away from the radar, and that gives us that counterclockwise circulation right here, crossing the Arkansas River, very near Norristown. That's where that circulation is at this point, and it looks like, at least for now, if there were to be a tornado, it would be located right over the river, and a little bit of blue returns in here.
A blue right where that rotation was, so that could mean that it's dropped down, and maybe we have some video from our storm chasers. I'm not sure. It's kind of dark out there at this point.
Yeah, and we're looking at toward the front end of the storm, but kind of hard to make out in this point, Alex. But certainly, you know, it's night is falling. If you live in Dardanelle and Russellville, don't go out looking for this. You need to get in your safe location because this storm, at least in about 10 minutes ago when Carmen pulled it up and talked about it, was very well organized structurally as a supercell, about as classic it can get in appearance. And we're not gonna kind of guess whether or not we've got debris right now. There are some indications there could be, but no official confirmation from anywhere. But that circulation center now crossing the Arkansas River. Once again, Russellville located right here, North Dardanelle right here, and the Arkansas River located right here. That circulation probably very near and just to the south of Norristown and West 3rd Place and Lock and Dam Road. Folks living in that area, you're familiar with that. Just to the west of Arkansas Highway 27, which runs through Russellville down to Dardanelle and North Dardanelle, Turrentine Way, as well as Rimrock Road, Skyline Drive, Sequoia Way, West 12th Street, and South Boston Ave. If it continues on this track to the east, it looks like it'll be moving just to the south of I-40, US 64, on the north side of Russellville. But I don't want anybody to look at this and pinpoint and say, well, it's not going to be near my house. If you're in Russellville, anywhere in the tornado warning, up to Center Valley, Russellville, Dardanelle, all the way down to just north of Prosperity, get in your safe location. But the most dangerous part of the storm at this point is between Russellville and Dardanelle and just to the west of Arkansas Highway 27. Let's get a little bit tighter view once again, Alex, because this is just about into the city proper. We should be getting another update here. These updates come out every minute or so. A little bit of suggestion that there may be some differing size objects, but not what we would call a debris ball at this point. But certainly, we're getting that little bit of a hook echo. This isn't a reflectivity. So some very, very heavy rain and the embedded hail north of US 64 and right along I-40, right through the Russellville area. And then you get a period of quiet where you have lighter precipitation. And back to reflectivity on this one, Alex, so we can show where that hook is. There's the hook. Just to the west of Norristown. That's where the circulation, at least a possible tornado is, indicated by radar. So you're going to have a period of quiet, lighter rain, and then that's where the tornado is, inside and embedded with that hook. So again, the large hail and very heavy rain along and north of US 64 up to I-40. Russellville, precipitation is a little bit lighter right now, downtown Russellville, but that circulation is just off to your west. Again, let's do a ruler measurement once again, Alex, right over to here, to Arkansas Highway 27, just to the south of US 64. And we're going to get that up in just a moment. But Russellville, the storm is only just a couple of minutes away from impacting a large part of the town at this point, the built-up area of the town. Same for Dardanelle. Just because it looks like it's pointed more at the Russellville area, don't let your guard down, because if there is a circulation, it could be moving around a little bit. So Dardanelle, that circulation is perhaps a couple miles to your north. We're looking at about, at this point, right to here, Alex, we may be looking at a mile or two just to the west of Arkansas 27. It's about 3 miles from Russellville down to Dardanelle and off to the west. That's where that circulation is at this point, located right there, moving eastward. And get into your safe location. That's all I could say, Alice. We've been preaching that all night. This is not a confirmed tornado at this point. However, it's nighttime. These storms have a history of producing tornadoes and very large hail. Mobile or modulars, if you safely get out of them, do it and get to a sturdy location. Storm shelter, best place to be. Basement, best place to be. And also, if you don't have either of those two, interior room of your home or office. Many walls between you and the outside as you can get. Alex, let's go back to you for an update on the other storms in the area, especially the one down in Saline and Garland County.
Yeah, that one just issued a tornado warning. Parts of Pulaski County actually included in the tornado warning. It was just warned for tornado possible. Now it is warned for tornado indicated. Also hail 1.25 inches. Garland, Pulaski, Saline County are included within that tornado warning. It looks like it will go till 8:45 at 30-mile-per-hour wind. So Pulaski County, a little bit of Pulaski County is included in this new tornado warning. So let me zoom out a little bit. We're talking about 2 separate tornado warnings, one in northern Yell County, southern Pope County, and the newest one just formed just to the south and west of Pulaski County. Hot Springs Village is included in that warning. If you're in Hot Springs Village, get to your safe location. But as far as rotation goes, this is just newly been warned for tornado indicated. This looks like the location where that rotation may be, moving to the east, northeast, around 35 miles per hour. We can see if there's any communities that will be in the path of this storm within that tornado warning. You can see Whitington, Owensville, Rubicon, and Kentucky, Arkansas are all currently included within that new tornado warning. Again, Garland, Saline, and a very small portion of Pulaski County is located within that tornado warning at this time. So there's now 2 tornado warnings in Arkansas, one over closer to Russellville, both radar indicated tornado warnings as we move further and further to the east. So this one actually is moving towards Little Rock, not necessarily in it yet, but you can see the direction that it's moving is moving right towards Little Rock, that one in Hot Springs County. Carmen, you got some information?
We are waiting on a phoner, yeah.
Okay, let's come back over here, Alex, production folks. Let's get reflectivity on this one. And what I like to see is where that storm is right now. Let's get in a little bit tight on this particular storm. This is the one that we talked about 30 minutes ago that was already exhibiting signs of being possibly supercellular because of that hook echo. Hot Springs Village, some very large hail just off to your south, maybe in the southern part of Hot Springs Village. Of course, Hot Springs Village going across the county lines, Garland and Saline County. These pink areas and dark purple areas indicate where there could be some very large hail. Alex, I don't know if we have any reports, but this is probably $half size or larger.
I don't see any reports. Only report I do see from the storm that's going towards Russellville was there was actually softball size hail recorded in Logan County. That's that other storm. This one not yet seen in Garland County, but let's see. There's a storm report actually just came in a second ago. There was a quarter size hail, so 1 inch diameter, and that was in Garland County. Jesseville is where that hail was reported.
Since we're getting into more popular areas of Little Rock Metro, you folks in Hot Springs, you're not in that tornado warning. Hot Springs Village is. Further off to the east, we have a very large part of rural northern sections of Garland County and western sections of Saline County. Arkansas Highway 128, the warning includes Arkansas Highway 298 and Highway 5 running out of and just south of Hot Springs Village. Jessieville, I also might note in that warning as well. And let's shift the map a little bit further to the east so I can see Interstate 30. I do want to let folks know, I'm not sure if Saline County has switched to sectorized sirens at this point, but the greater Benton area and Bryant area are not in this tornado warning yet, nor is the city of Little Rock. A small part of Pulaski County is included. That is well west of the Little Rock metro area. But in Saline County, if you hear sirens going off in the Benton area and Bryant area, you are not in that warning as of yet. That warning begins just to the west of Benton. Bryant, definitely not in that warning at this point. However, if the sirens are going off and you feel your safety is threatened at any point, move to your safe location. Again, we were talking about this earlier. These storms are probably going to continue to rapidly develop. Anything that develops will likely become a supercell, likely produce some very large hail, and quite possibly, almost likely, capable of producing tornadoes, as this is the case in the Garland County and Saline County storm. Again, Benton, Bryant, not included in that warning at this point, the tornado warning. It is just west of Benton, central and western parts of Saline County and the Hot Springs area across eastern sections of Garland County. And again, move to your safe location in those areas immediately. Back up to the north, we're going to check out the Conway storm. That first storm that had a new severe thunderstorm warning issued over it. New tornado warning has come out. This one has just come out, and it includes Jacksonville as well as the Mayflower area. Mayflower, that storm is right on top of you. Move to your safe location right now. That storm is right over Mayflower. Move to your safe location immediately. This storm has rapidly developed and has already shown a quick circulation spin up. Mayflower, move to your safe location immediately, as well as the Cato area, Warsaw, Gravel Ridge, back to the Palarm area, and even into Maumelle. Move to your safe location. This storm has rapidly intensified. Tornado warning now in effect for Mayflower, and that tornado warning continues eastward, includes the Sotillo area, as well as Cabot and Parnell, as well as Jacksonville, Little Rock Air Force Base. Move to your safe locations. Makes it away just about out to the Lone Oak area. Some times of arrival in about a minute for Mayflower. Move to your safe place right now. The Gravel Ridge area, 829. Jacksonville at 837. Cabot at 845, Ward at 852, rapidly developing thunderstorm with a possible tornado located just about right overhead in Mayflower. Move to your safe location. If you know anybody on the interstate traveling between Conway and Maumelle and Little Rock, call them now, tell them to get off the roadway, move to a safe location, because that storm is crossing or about to cross Interstate 40, and it will be moving just off to the south of the Valonia area. Folks, Valonia, Mayflower, you hit hard in 2014. Valonia at this point not included in that tornado warning, but you very well may see some large hail as well as damaging winds. You're in the other side of that warning as far as being a severe thunderstorm warning at this point. Tornado warning just to your south includes Mayflower as well as Cabot and Jacksonville and a small part of North Little Rock, probably the northern side of North Little Rock, but it does not include the Little Rock metro area. We've got 3 tornado warnings right now that are active. Is that correct? Alex, back to you.
Current tornado warnings. Looking at some of the chat from weather watchers and storm chasers, there was a storm chaser 5 minutes ago said a brief tornado just west of Russellville, and that was from one of the storm chasers on their live video. Garland County Sheriff Deputy says there was heavy rotation in the Fountain Lake area. So all these storms, all 3 tornado warnings, potential tornadoes on the ground. They are radar indicated. They're not necessarily indicated on the ground, but they might change. As soon as you see one of these boxes turn from red to purple, that's when we're concerned about potential tornadoes. Here's a look at some of the velocities, and you can see when the green and the red are close together, you don't like to see that. That's when we have that potential for a tornado on the ground. You can see 3 different locations where there are that rotation. So that one new one just to the south of Conway, Mayflower, there's a lot of fast rotation there. You can see the greens and the yellows next to each other. There's that one that just had a storm spotter said they saw a tornado just to the west of Russellville. That one's still showing signs of rotation. And the third one, Garland and Saline County, rotation might not be quite as impressive, but it's enough for you to take your tornado precautions. Again, 3 different tornado warnings, all within pretty close proximity to Little Rock at this time, Keith.
Alex, we're going to have to go through these since we've got 3 supercells producing tornadoes. We're going to start with Russellville. Let's head up to Russellville. That circulation, as Alex just mentioned, possibly producing a tornado a short time ago. Right now, over the city of Russellville, a little bit closer in, Alex, so we can see some of the cities. The circulation right now, right over Russellville, right along Arkansas Highway 27. Stay in your safe location until the tornado warning has been canceled for your area. That storm is now headed toward Pottsville. Russellville is over you right now. Dardanelle, North Dardanelle, you are just to the south of that tornado, or at least the indications, but stay in your safe location. Pottsville, you're next, and then further east, Alex, let's take it east on US 64 I-40. Atkins will be the next location that tornado is headed. This storm moving east at 30, so there'll be about 15 minutes before it gets to the Atkins area. Next, let's go to Mayflower, where that tornado warning quickly developed with that storm near and right over Mayflower. That storm continues to move off to the east. The most dangerous part of the circulation has already moved just to the east of the Mayflower area, and at this point we're getting very, very close to the radar. So some of the data can be a little bit jumbled up, but at this point, it doesn't look like we're seeing any correlation coefficient that would lead us to believe that there is a possible tornado. Just out of curiosity, Alex, since we're so close to this radar, let's switch over to the Fort Smith radar. The velocity data, just to see. And, you know, at this point, it looks like, and again, this is shooting pretty high in the atmosphere, it looks like that circulation is located along, and I'm not sure which highway this is. Let's zoom in a little bit closer here. And Arkansas Highway 89, just to the east of the Mayflower area, pretty much running right down the middle of that tornado warning polygon box. So just to the east of the radar, very, very near the Cato area at this point, located along Arkansas Highway 89. And at this point, it looks like that's where that circulation is headed. So the Cato area, Olmsted, Warsaw, Gravel Ridge, and let's expand this out a little bit, Alex, Jacksonville, Tonyville, as well as the Cabot area, Parnell, Sylvania, Furlow, and I already mentioned Gravel Ridge. You were in that tornado warning. It looks at this point that possible tornado, will be running right along Highway 89 or just south of Highway 89 and be located near the Warsaw area in about 15 to 20 minutes. Again, pretty good indication of a good hook outgo. And at this point, Alex, some of these returns are very, very strong, indicating some probably destructive hail located in that storm as well.
Over just the most recent scan, we were looking at velocities. If we go look at the most recent one, it has picked up. That green turned to yellow. That just means that wind is even stronger. And you can see right where it kind of tied up, where the velocities are very strong, the green and yellow shades, and then also right there where that hook echo is on the radar. That is definitely very concerning and not something that we like to see anytime we see a supercell like that.
And let's go to the correlation coefficient.
Nothing really.
Nothing really to indicate a surefire, yeah, there's debris with this. But you folks, Mayflower, stay in your safe location. The most dangerous part of the storm is just off to your east. This is the hook echo, the Sotillo area, likely seeing some big hail, some very big hail possible, as well as some blinding rain. The circulation center near Clinton, I believe that is Clinton Road, Green Lake Road, as well as the Matt Abbott Drive. This is Arkansas Highway 89. This is the area we'd be looking for that circulation. And if the storm continues to track that way, it'll be tracking right along Arkansas Highway 89 over to near Warsaw and basically come in between Cabot and the Jacksonville area over the course of the next 30 minutes or so. So get into your safe location. Switch back very quickly to the Garland-Saline County tornado warning and see if we can get an update on that one. Again, let's get the velocity data on this so we could see. Not quite as clear cut circulation. Alex, I were to guess maybe right in this area just to the east of Hot Springs Village.
Anything too wild. That's some good news there, that one into
that storm not
Saline
quite
County.
as strong as it was earlier. But again, not downplaying it at all, just saying not quite as strong. But it'll be approaching Arkansas Highway 298 and then the rest of the central and western part of Saline County. Again, that warning comes out too, but does not include Benton, does not include the Bryan area at this point. But again, this storm does not look quite as strong. Are we ready to check in with Carmen? Let's go over to Carmen and see what our storm spotters are up to.
Absolutely, yeah. So our storm spotter, our chaser, is over in Pottsville, chasing that storm currently, and we saw that very well-structured wall cloud. Now, unfortunately, the video, it's going through very dark phases here, since, of course, it is late at night. So we're not able to see too much, but we do have radar up to show you where those storms are right now. Now, do we have Derek on the line? I can hear him now.
Hey,
Derek.
Carmen.
Hey, Derek.
Hey, Carmen.
Can you tell me where you are right now and what you're seeing?
Yes, ma'am. We are currently moving due north on the highway that runs from Russellville into Pottsville. Have a well-defined wall cloud still. I've not seen any signs of power flashes, but definitely seeing a rapidly rotating wall cloud coming into the town of Pottsville. It's not as pronounced as it was coming into the Dardanelle-Russellville area when the tornado touched down, but as it's coming into the Pottsville area, definitely still seeing very defined wall cloud and rotation on it. We are moving into the I-40 area and going to follow this storm and also attempt to get back down to Central Arkansas as well. Yep.
Great. Okay. And so I imagine that you are actually tracking west. If you are in Pottsville, I know Keith is manning the radar right now. Is it possible we could, I'm talking to Keith right now, zoom in into Pottsville again? That's where our storm chaser is, Derek. So you notice that we still have that rotation. What you're looking at right now, Derek, is there's still rotation that you're seeing. I know it is dark out there, but as far as what that storm is doing currently?
What I'm looking at right now, we do have it on our stream. I'm going to try to turn the camera back around the best that we can. It has gotten dark. If you are listening, do not try to go out and see the storm. It's dark. It's in the mountains. This is a situation where you need to be in your safe place. What I'm seeing right now is a well-defined wall cloud just over the mountaintop. So it's kind of coming over the mountain. So what's happening is radar is probably not picking up that rotation as well. I'm still seeing a wall cloud. It's not as defined as it was. I think it is starting to lose some of its rotation, but the storm does look to be recycling a little bit as well. We have very strong inflow still on the storm.
Okay, great. Thank you, Derek. We're going to check back in with you in a little bit and see if we see anything else. What we're looking at right now is radar. Derek is right over here closer to Pottsville, where you can kind of see that curve right here, that curved motion on our radar. Basically just outside of Russellville and just north of Pottsville is what we're watching very closely here. And that's where Derek, our storm chaser with the Arkansas Weather Watchers, is indicating that he is seeing that wall cloud. And wall cloud typically meaning rotation. Alex, can you tell us a little bit more what's going on?
Yeah, we're looking at the new storm. So obviously there's 3 tornado warnings in the state right now. They're all very concerning. But this one that is moving towards Cato, it just went through Mayflower, a very dangerous looking storm. We're not seeing a whole lot of correlation, but the velocity and the hook echo is very concerning. Again, Cato moving towards Warsaw. Look at that velocity right there. We were seeing a more broad velocity of this green color earlier. Well, now we're looking at a more tight couplet. That's when you have the winds in the red, and then you got the green, and then even some blue color. So that blue just means it's even stronger. Keith's circling it right now. If you're in Cato, if you live north of it, you need to be in your safe space immediately. This storm is going to be paralleling Highway 89. I think that's in Faulkner County, north of Pulaski County, I'm pretty sure. If you live on Highway 89 in Faulkner County, Pulaski County, you need to be going to your safe place immediately, because this is a very dangerous looking storm, very strong winds. There's the couplet. There's where that tornado likely will be. We don't have a tornado confirmed warning yet, but there's also some very concern looking on the radar. It's definitely radar confirmed tornado. Whenever you see that strong velocity there along Highway 89, if you live, again, Highway 89, that's Faulkner County, moving into parts of northern Pulaski County, that's where the concern is the most. Cato onto Olmsted, and this is debris indicator. There isn't really a huge signature of that different debris. So if you're looking at this red shade, that's usually just the rain or possible small hail.
Looking at this, take a look at how that storm is ingesting the particles there. How you're seeing within it. You're seeing within it the rain and getting wrapped around a very clear signature of extremely dangerous winds with that storm, regardless if there's a tornado or not.
And it's really close to the radar, so this is shooting pretty close to the ground. So whatever this rotation is, whether it's a tornado or if it's just elevated rotation, it's very concerning. Maybe we can go back to the velocities and see if it has changed a little bit over the next couple of minutes or the last couple of minutes. But very, very strong rotation. That's more broad, but there's that really tight couplet. We can zoom in. There's some roads that we're talking about. Cato Road, north of Cato, Mitchell Road, and the location of it right now is there. If there is a tornado on the ground, this is where we're most concerned about it. I think we might have an update. Carmen, do you have an update?
Absolutely. So you've been talking about where we saw that little bit of a hook feature, where that circle is, where that rotation is. We do have reports of damage that is in Mayflower. So that is the storm that we were watching. That's that tornado warning. We have those 3 warnings that are in effect right now. We do have damage that is being reported in Mayflower, and that is damage to homes around Highway 89 and closer to I-40. So closer to Mayflower, that's where we're watching. So now that we're getting damage reports, looking a bit more likely that we could be dealing with something more significant there, where that tornado warning is in effect right now until 8:45 p.m. Now, our spotter is north of Pottsville, where we've noticed some of that too, and there is a wall cloud that's rotating. So we do have confirmed rotation with that. We do have a wall cloud with these storms, and we also now have that confirmed damage that is in Mayflower, getting closer to Highway 89 and I-40. Alex?
Yeah, some more locations for this tornado. The one specifically that went just through Mayflower. This is the other one in Garland-Saline County. You can see to the...
Let me get in there real quick. There was a report a short time ago, probable funnel cloud just south of Hot Springs Village, north of Brook Hill Ranch, that facility there. All right, we are looking at a serious situation in Mayflower. We are getting new information. Catastrophic damage is expected with this tornado that is very near Cato. Again, tornado warning. This is essentially a tornado emergency. Catastrophic damage is expected with this tornado. Move to your safe location immediately. We are looking a confirmed large and destructive tornado located near Olmsted, 8 miles west of Little Rock Air Force Base, moving east at 35. Alex, this is an extremely serious and potentially deadly situation.
Yeah, let's zoom in. You get the white polygon, you notice. That means basically a tornado emergency, super strong tornado. Zooming in on some locations, Olmsted is something you mentioned. It's going to be moving to the east. We have Cabot, we have Jacksonville included in that tornado warning. Very, very strong tornado, something we need to take extremely seriously. Go to your safe place immediately.
We're going to update this. A tornado emergency has been declared for southeast Faulkner, far northern Pulaski, and northern Lonoke County. A tornado emergency has been declared for southeast Faulkner, far northern Pulaski, and northern Lonoke counties for a likely catastrophic tornado that is going to cause extensive damage, Alex.
Yeah, so it's a tornado emergency, likely, if it is a tornado on the ground, which it is, EF2 or greater, causing extreme damage in those locations. Highway 107 here. We don't have quite much on debris indicator, but you can see where that rotation would be. Cato is one of those locations where it's likely getting a lot of damage right now, moving towards Warsaw, Macon. Jacksonville is included in the tornado warning. You need to be going to your safe place immediately. Toonieysville also located within that tornado warning. Look at those velocities, very extreme velocities here on that tornado warning just to the north of Little Rock. It does include northern parts of Pulaski County, now going into Lonoke County.
We're getting some incredible wind data coming in here within the circulation of that tornado. Incredible organization of the storm. This is potentially going to be a catastrophic event. Folks need to be in their safe location now. And stay in that safe location until this storm moves by. There's a tornado emergency for the entire tornado warning box you see there, and the white outline box indicates a catastrophic tornado is likely impacting that area.
Yeah, so it's moving into northern parts of Pulaski County, into Lonoke County. You need to be immediately going to your safe space. It's an extremely strong storm that has a very extremely strong tornado on the ground right now. It's a tornado emergency, severe damage likely with this storm. Cato, Warsaw, going to Cabot. Cabot, that's a location you immediately need to go to your tornado safe place right now. That's a tornado shelter. And Keith covering the storm in greater detail.
All right, Little Rock Air Force Base, that storm is just off to your west. Get into your safe location. Sirens going off everywhere in this part of Pulaski County, as well as into Faulkner County and into Lono County. The most dangerous part of this storm, likely containing a catastrophic tornado located right over Cato at this point, roughly paralleling Arkansas Highway 89. Warsaw, move to your safe location. Macon, move to your safe location immediately. All along Arkansas Highway 107. A lot of you folks in North Little Rock are familiar with Arkansas Highway 107. That is where that tornado is headed next. Incredible reflectivity with this storm, a potentially catastrophic tornado right now. And, in my years here, even the Mayflower Valonia tornado, we didn't see this type of wrap up in the velocity data. Let's pull that velocity data back up again, Alex. And I know we're very close to the radar, but an extremely intense tornado, catastrophic tornado, likely on the ground right now near the Cato area, Arkansas Highway 89. If you live in Warsaw, Macon, or Mason, I apologize for the wrong pronunciation, Tonyville, over toward Jacksonville. Let's move this so I can see Jacksonville. Little Rock Air Force Base located right here. Move to your safe location. If you live in a mobile or modular home, get out now, immediately. Move to a substantial structure. Mobile modular home is not going to stand up to this possible tornado, catastrophic tornado that is likely occurring at this point. Get into your storm shelter. If you can't or don't have a storm shelter, move to the lowest floor of your home or where you are right now. Don't leave. Move to the lowest floor of where you are. Put as many walls between you and the outside that you can, because a destructive tornado is on the ground right now, and a tornado emergency, first one we've seen in a long time for southeast Faulkner, northern part of Pulaski, on into parts of northwestern Lonoke County, just about up to the city of Lonoke. A destructive and catastrophic tornado is on the ground. Take cover now. Carmen?
Absolutely. So this is a very serious situation, as Keith had mentioned too. You see that curvature right there. Again, this is a large and destructive tornado. We've seen that on radar. We have damage to homes in Mayflower. What you see over Cato right now, that is where we are worried about. Now, we also have damage to homes that's being reported near Mayflower. We mentioned that earlier, but National Weather Service also confirming tornado damage in Mayflower. So that white polygon that we're not used to seeing, I've not actually seen a white polygon before, and now that is because of a tornado emergency. So this is issued in the instance that we do have a large, destructive tornado, potentially catastrophic, that's moving in. So this is where we're watching where that rotation is, that nice, well-defined hook. This is obviously not producing nice weather. This is proving to be destructive and damaging weather because of that tornado. So Cato, this is right over you. Warsaw, Macon, that's going to be heading your way, as well as Gravel Ridge. Again, that tornado warning until 8:45 p.m. So we are on max 2 right now. I know Alex is on max 1. I do believe he has velocity if we want to go ahead and switch over to max 1 and show you what's going on there. So that bright, bright blue is where that tornado likely is. And when we start seeing these bright colors close next to each other like this, that indicates that tornado, and that is confirmed. So we already have that damage to homes in Mayflower. You will likely be dealing with damage if you were just outside of Jacksonville. So this is moving east at 35 miles per hour. Cabot expected at 8:44. Again, could we get another track on that? What we're showing right now is debris indicator on correlation coefficient. So that's trying to show where some of that debris is, if it's showing up at all. And again, where that little hook is and that loop, that swirl that you're starting to see is what it looks like. That's the area of most concern and where that danger is. So Jacksonville, 8:33 p.m. This is heading your way. Cabot, you're going to be in the way of this closer to 8:40 p.m. Carlisle at 9:14. It is 8:21 right now. So we are watching this. Again, this white polygon indicating a tornado emergency. This is only issued when there is an emergency. So this is something very serious. We are watching for the potential for more damage associated with this. So zooming in even closer, this is into neighborhood streets. We have people out here in Cato over there by Batesville Pike. This is heading your way. Olmsted, if you're closer to Old Tom Box Road, this is going to be moving your way as well, getting closer to Macon. Looks like over here we have Highway 107. What we're circling right here is where that rotation is. So if you're in the line of this path right here, again, Olmsted, Fortson Road, Batesville Pike, you're about to get hammered with this, and this is going to be tracking farther east at 35 miles per hour. So even Cleveland Road, West Cleveland Road, you're going to be impacted from this. Peters Road, what they're showing right now is the diameter of where this tornado could actually be showing, 3 miles. That is extensive, so this is going to cause some damage. That's why we do have that tornado emergency in place until 8:45. Alex.
Serious situation. Usually when you see rotation this broad, we can pop up the radar again. It's a little bit wider, might not be the tornado, but this is an extreme situation. So the rotation going back to max 1 is this broad. Potentially, it's very close to the radar. Potentially, that entire location of rotation that I'm going to circle right here could be a tornado on the ground. The tornado could be a mile or wide in diameter with something this strong. We could possibly see a mile in diameter tornado at this speed. Keith, we were just talking about this. It's so close to the radar that it seems like that has to be the case right now.
Honestly, I've never seen a signature like that. If I were to kind of guess possibly where this might be, it's going to be somewhere between Cato and Macon. Incredible circulation with this storm. That's why we have this tornado emergency that is in effect. Mayflower, the tornado warning is over for you. We still have a tornado warning in for a small part of southeastern Faulkner County and a small part of northern Pulaski County. It does not include Little Rock or North Little Rock. It includes Jacksonville, Little Rock Air Force Base, as well as into the northern part of Lonoke County. Let's really drill in, Alex. I want to get on a street level here. It's getting very close to Little Rock Air Force Base. That circulation, if I were, to say where that probably is located, very near the Olmsted area, although, like you said, Alex, this may very well be a very large tornado on the ground, possibly up to a half mile to a mile in diameter, given how close it is to the radar and the curvature of these signatures. Absolutely incredible to actually see this kind of at least detailed wind information on this. Macon, you folks are up next. West Maddox Road, West Republican Road, Jacksonville Conway Road, Little Rock Air Force Base. You are very close to it. Let's get a distance measure, Alex, and let's go from where we'll suppose that the center of that tornado is. Probably right in this area over to Little Rock Air Force Base. And we're talking, it's probably about 5 miles. It would be more down here. The runway area is right in here. So about 4 miles. These are the runways at Little Rock Air Force Base, so about 4 miles to the west. And that's if we were to go from a point. This could, as Alex said, could be a very, very large tornado. It could extend out to a half a mile, even a mile in diameter at the base. So it might already be impacting parts of Little Rock Air Force Base. We're still not getting, you could see that circulation. Did you roll that again?
You can just...
Could be a little rotation there. A little bit of correlation, that last thing.
Right in here near Olmsted?
Yeah.
Yeah, that does look like it. And you can actually see the flow of that wind, the incredible flow of the wind with this potentially catastrophic tornado pulling it in toward Olmsted. So if, I would hazard a guess at this point, yeah, just to the east of Homestead, very close to the Warsaw area and the Macon area. So get into your safe place. In fact, you've got to be there. You've got to be there right now. And same with Little Rock Air Force Base. You've got to be in your safe location now. Jacksonville, get into your safe location because we're talking about a pinpoint location on a map with a possible catastrophic tornado that may be a half a mile or a mile wide at the base on the ground. So again, we're talking about a specific point, but that tornado, the outer edge of the tornado, may already be approaching Little Rock Air Force Base and the Jacksonville area. So stay in that safe location. Do not look outside. Do not go near windows, and do not venture outdoors at all. just stay in your safe location and many walls between you and the outside that you can. Turn up your TV so you could hear us and stay there until this storm is safely passed, because this is, just looking at it, it is an incredibly well-organized supercell. And right now, that warning has been updated to be a little bit further off to the east of Mayflower. So excuse me, the Caddo area, you are still in that warning. You're on the backside of that gigantic circulation, and the Tonyville area on the east side of that very large circulation. So Parnell, Cabot, Furlow, Sylvania, move to your safe location. You folks, right in this area, anywhere in this area, there is likely a very large tornado on the ground. Alex?
Just a report that it might have been a tornado as early as I-40 in Mayflower. Apparently, traffic on I-40, I think it's near exit 134, completely blocked with trees along I-40. So trees completely over the highway blocking traffic, and I think it says in all lanes. So it just shows that it has been a tornado, and obviously right now it's a extremely destructive, catastrophic tornado. There's a tornado emergency. I've never personally seen it in my life, Keith.
See catastrophic tornado on the ground right now. Confirmed damage back all the way to the Mayflower area. When this storm rapidly developed, that shows you how much energy is in the atmosphere. Don't take this lightly at all. Folks stayed hunkered down in the Jacksonville, Little Rock Air Force Base area up to Warsaw. That very large circulation indicated on radar at this point. I really can't even point to a point like a lot of times we do, trying to indicate where a tornado might be. This one is just so large, it's very difficult to see. Look at that circulation. This is an incredibly well-organized supercell thunderstorm with a destructive tornado on the ground. Very, very clear indication of a very rapid counterclockwise circulation of a very large tornado on the ground, a catastrophic tornado that is right now getting into Little Rock Air Force Base, the Jacksonville area, getting ready to cross 67 and 167. As Alex mentioned, Interstate 40 essentially closed at this point in the Mayflower area due to trees and other debris on the highway. That likely is going to be the case with Arkansas Highway 67 and 167 as that storm crosses the highway and pulls debris around. What was the producer saying?
Go.
I drive there. Yeah, this is exit 1, mile marker exit 133 up by Mayflower. The road shut down with debris on the highway. Do not venture out. This is eerily very similar to the experience we had with the Mayflower-Valonia storm. Let's go back to radar real quick, and I do want to, let's get in one more time real quick, and we're going to shift it over to Carmen. Little Rock Air Force Base, right here, these are the runways where there are no streets. These are where the runways are at Little Rock Air Force Base. That circulation right now getting into where the runways are and going to be crossing over the runways across the flight line into the proper of Little Rock Air Force Base. It very well may be there already, folks, because I'm just pointing to a point on this information, this data, but this likely is going to be a half-mile to a mile-wide tornado on the ground, and it is right now moving through Little Rock Air Force Base, getting over Arkansas Highway 167, and further off to the east. The Cabot area, very close. It's going to be a very close call. Parnell, move to your safe location right now. It does appear this very large tornado is headed directly for you, the Furlow area, as well as up to Cabot. This large catastrophic emergency, this is an extreme weather event, folks. That's all we could describe it as. A significant catastrophic tornado likely on the ground at Little Rock Air Force Base right now. Let's go and check with Carmen.
Absolutely, yes. So that is the problem here. Not only do we have a confirmed tornado, but large and destructive. We've already had that damage to multiple homes in Mayflower. That white polygon is that tornado warning, that tornado emergency until 8:45. So yes, emergency only issued when it is an emergency. So Cabot, right over you. Warsaw, if you are in Jacksonville, please be in your safe spot. It is headed your way. Furlow, this also includes you. Now I do want to zoom out a little bit just so you can see where this is in relation to Little Rock. So obviously Jacksonville, we know that, of course, it is just north of Sherwood. So you are not to worry about the warning here. But if you are in Jacksonville, if you are in Cabot, that's what we're dealing with. So this is the area of concern. I want to show a little bit farther, zoomed out as well, to show you where the other tornado warning is. We are less concerned as far as just how destructive that tornado warning could be because we don't have anything confirmed. But ping pong size hail is going to be possible over there in Benton. Again, what we're really watching, though, is that tornado emergency. That is until 8:45 p.m., and that is what we are watching closely. So Cabot, Warsaw, Jacksonville, this includes you, that's going to be heading toward Butlerville, as well as Watonsaw, looks like, and just outside of Lone Oak. So that's what we're watching very closely. Again, this isn't something that we've seen in quite some time, and this is what we're taking very seriously because of this tornado emergency until 8:45. Keith.
All right, thanks. Alex, let's get in really close again. We really got to stay with this storm. This is a deadly storm, potentially catastrophic tornado right now, going over Little Rock Air Force Base. Right now, at least the center of where that circulation is right over the flight line, right over the runways at Little Rock Air Force Base. And again, like Alex and I were mentioning, as well as Carmen a little bit earlier, this thing could be up to a mile wide. We're looking at the circulation and the patterns here. This could be up to a mile wide, this tornado. So Little Rock Air Force Base is right over you right now, the center of it. But I'm sure those winds extend, those catastrophic winds extend further off to the east and probably impacting now areas along 67, 167 to the south and east of Jacksonville. Alex.
And the Little Rock Air Force Base reports visible tornado in their observation. So it's an official report of a tornado at the Air Force Base right now. And it is tricky. Keith was talking about, we have the velocities. They look like they're pretty broad, but it's so close to the radar that the tornado could be potentially as large as it looks on your screen.
Everybody needs to be in their safe location because your life is at risk. Your life is at risk with this particular warning. This is a tornado emergency, a catastrophic tornado likely on the ground, and that would probably make it an EF2 or stronger, maybe even stronger than that. That would be determined in an after-storm survey. But at this point, your actions in the next couple minutes, your life will depend on it. Don't look for this. The folks at Little Rock Air Force Base, they're trained observers, they're in protected areas. Don't go out and look for this. That circulation right over Little Rock Air Force Base right now, at least the middle of it, probably the damaging and catastrophic winds extending up to Highway 167. Alex, let's push east a little bit, make this area go that way. The next area to keep an eye on, Parnell, the Parnell community, Arkansas Highway 89, and the Cabot area. Cabot, right now, with the way that's moving, I think the most damaging and catastrophic part of the storm will just be to your south. But I want you to get into your safe location. If you're in a mobile or modular home, even if you're outside of the main tornado, which is likely an EF2 or stronger, a catastrophic tornado, you may not even make it out without that thing being blown away. Mobile or modular homes are going to offer zero protection. If you can safely do so and you're ahead of this storm, get to a more substantial structure, get to the community storm shelter, get east of this area, east of this tornado as quickly as you can, because we are looking at that sitting right over Little Rock Air Force Base right now. Correlation coefficient, Alex, can we pull anything up there?
It still looks very similar. I think it just has to do with it's so close to the radar.
Looks like it's pulling something in. I'm seeing, let me go with the producer real quick. We got a camera up there on 67. Is this still working? Where are we right here? This is the Cabot exit. How about a little bit further south of Cabot? If we can get something right in the Jacksonville area, let's pull that up. If that would be a good one to take a look at. We still see traffic moving normally in that area. In another location, not seeing a whole lot. And of course, it's nighttime. Folks may not even know this thing is coming because it's nighttime out, and the visibility is very restricted. And it's just like I'm not seeing anything. I'll ask my producer to keep an eye on these, and if she sees any type of wind damage or any lightning flashes would be important. The one thing I also want to talk about before I get to Carmen, the producer can also check on power outages. And not from the U.S. Power, but directly from Entergy. That would be helpful as well. Carmen?
Okay, so we mentioned that the tornado has been confirmed. It looks like it is northwest of the Little Rock Air Force Base. So there is an observer there that has observed this tornado. And we do have a severe thunderstorm warning. My phone's going off. You hear it. That's, I'm sure, what all of your phones are doing too. We do have that tornado emergency. So that's why that alert is going off. That's why your phones are going off right now. So this is a confirmed tornado. This is a destructive, a large tornado. That's why we do have that tornado emergency. Again, this has been located northwest of the Little Rock Air Force Base over in Jacksonville. And it is continuing to move east at closer to 25 to 30 miles per hour. So that might not sound so threatening, but this is a life-threatening and property situation here that is unfolding. So if you are not in your safe spot, please get there immediately. There is a tornado on the ground. It has been confirmed. This is northwest of the Little Rock Air Force Base in Jacksonville, and it's continuing to track farther east. Keith?
All right, who do I have in the producer chair? Do we have anybody in the production booth right now? Okay, where is this? I want to look at that one shot we have from RDOT. That one, let's put that up. Do we know where that is? 67 near Cabot. So it looks like power is out there, at least on one side. I'm not sure. We'll have to take a look at that more in just a second. Alex, let's go over to you.
There are 814 outages in Faulkner County, right where the tornado is on the ground. So there's already been scattered reports of power outages, so definitely a tornado on the ground. You need to be taking it intensely seriously. If you're under that tornado emergency, you need to immediately going to your safe spot right now. Don't waste any time anywhere in that white polygon, no matter where you are. You need to be going to your safe place, even though the tornado might not hit you. The risk is far too high. Keith, everyone needs to be in their safe place, correct?
Even if you're on the periphery of the tornado, there are going to be winds probably to hurricane force surrounding the actual tornado. If this is indeed a half-mile or mile-wide tornado on the ground. This white outlined area, tornado emergency, catastrophic tornado likely. Let's get in really close. We need to look one more time, Alex, and see where exactly this is located. The runways at Little Rock Air Force Base located right in here, the flight line area. That circulation appears to be right near the West Maddox Road, perhaps just on the east end of the runways, Little Rock Air Force Base. And again, that's just the center. It's not taking into account how wide this could be. So this could already be extending across 67, 167, given how the wind profile is at this point. But certainly, even just outside of the tornado circulation, there are going to be winds to hurricane force. This is a deadly storm, and it is potentially catastrophic tornado on the ground, which would indicate at least an EF2, most likely higher. We don't usually get these type of warnings. The last time we had something like this was Mayflower, Valonia, back in 2014. All right, that's where it is right now, this particular tornado warning. Alex, let's go back to Saline and Garland County. I don't want to miss something else across the state. Has that tornado warning expired?
There was a report of an expired tornado warning earlier.
Actually, I do see it in there.
It is there, but I did get a report.
There's hail. Let's get reflectivity on here. Let's do reflectivity on this one. All right, the storm is almost completely out of the tornado warning, and
there you
right
go.
in there, a new severe thunderstorm warning. This storm is going to be going over the Benton and Bryant area. Is this a tour possible?
The rotation is reduced substantially and not expecting.
Okay, and how big is the hail on this one?
Looks.
It looks like there's been 1 inch hail, though, closer to that 1.5 inch hail that's over in Benton on Troy Drive that's been associated with that thunderstorm. So you're getting a hailstorm in Benton. We have a tornado emergency that includes Jacksonville and the Air Force Base. I just got a text from a C-130 pilot that tried to land, now successfully landed right before the storm came through. So I don't think any planes are going to be landing. In fact, I hope everybody is in their safe spot right now because of this. Again, we have a confirmed tornado on the ground that is just outside the Air Force Base. This is a large and destructive tornado because it is in a populated area. So that emergency in effect until 8:45. Alex?
Yeah, so let's go back to Max 1. There is obviously the tornado emergency near Jacksonville right now in Pulaski County, Lonoke County. There's also some new rotation or just stronger winds in a severe thunderstorm warning that just got issued north of Morrilton heading towards Greenbrier. So that's another location that we're going to be watching. Morrilton headed towards Greenbrier, but we're going to spend most of our time on the tornado emergency since that is the biggest concern at this moment. We can take a look at debris indicator again. Still not much showing there on debris indicator. I'm guessing that's because it's so close to the radar that's located in North Little Rock there. You can see the radar on your map just near Sherwood, but there is that white polygon, tornado emergency. You can see a very broad rotation. That rotation, though, is being recorded extremely close to the surface since the radar is only a few miles away. So our biggest concern is that rotation could be a tornado that is more than a half mile in diameter. That's why this is a tornado emergency. It's something you very rarely see. This is a rare occurrence, and you need to take it extremely seriously. I'll throw it back over to Keith, who's at the green screen.
Catastrophic tornado likely on the ground. We've said it several times, and we're going to say it again because your life depends on the decisions you make over the next few minutes in the eastern part of this catastrophic tornado warning. This is a tornado emergency. Move to your safe location. And this storm right now is over the Jacksonville area. And I'm going to be checking in with our all right, Highway 67, let's go ahead and take that, Jessica. Yeah, this is up near the Air Force Base, I believe, up near the Air Force Base, and we're not obviously seeing a lot of traffic. Tornadoes, very hard to see at night, you know, if you know somebody on the road in Pulaski County, just tell them to get off the road and pull over. Keep an eye on that, Jessica. You know, if we see anything like power flashes, we'll come back to it. But again, this storm is gigantic right now. You know, it covers such a wide area. And Alex, let's check in. I want to check on the correlation coefficient and see if we can get anything. Not seeing anything, but you know what really is striking to me is you can see the circulation, the counterclockwise circulation of the winds in this storm. You know, the redder things are, the more we're just looking at uniform size precipitation. And the more we get toward the blues, that's when we're looking at different size objects being lifted up into the atmosphere. And you can very clearly see the circulation with this storm just by taking a look at it. So very difficult to tell if there's debris, if this storm is just so strong. Alex, back to reflectivity, if we can take a look. It's still, again, we're pretty close to the radar. This, again, right here, this very well may be where the tornado is at this point, just to the east of US 67, 167. And I'm waiting for my amateur radio operator to get set up. He's got some reports for us in just a minute. But a very dangerous storm. Cabot area, stay in your safe location. Jacksonville, stay in your safe location. Further off to the east, Parnell down to the Furlough area. And again, back to Benton Bryant, the severe thunderstorm warning. That is the potential for 1.5-inch diameter hail. Again, we are not under a tornado warning anymore. That tornado warning, actually, that storm has completely dropped out of the tornado warned area. National Weather Service extremely busy. This passing very near the Weather Service office as well, just a short time ago with this particular storm. The tornado warning is going to expire, and that severe thunderstorm warning in Benton and Bryant area for 1 to 1.5-inch diameter hail continues into central Pulaski, I should say central parts of Saline County, and will be crossing over into southern Pulaski County shortly. Carmen?
Okay, so you just mentioned that 1.5-inch hail. This is what it looks like, that hail coming down in Benton right now. So this is a video that's been sent in by Trey. You can see that hail is falling, and for you to be able to see that at night so clearly with cell phone video indicates that large hail. So this is severe status hail. It needs to be 1 inch in diameter. We are reporting 1.5 inches diameter. You can actually see that falling and hitting the ground. So you're likely dealing with a lot of that hail in Benton and Bryant right now. That's why we do have that severe thunderstorm warning. We also have that tornado emergency. If we want to go ahead and switch back to Max 2. Max 2, we will show you, actually, we're still on it, where we are dealing with that emergency right now. That is farther north, and that is where we are watching. Now, we also have hail that has been reported over in Austin, and that is in Lone Oak, and that is for closer to 2-inch hail size. So that is what we were watching there. And then it looks like we do have that tornado warning that's been indicated for Lone Oak and Prairie right now. So that's where that hail we've been indicated, and that's where we're watching that warning, Alex.
Emergency, that doesn't mean it's not a serious situation, but the rotation has changed a little bit. It was over towards Jacksonville, Warsaw, but now it's a little bit further north. You can see that rotation. Still a tornado warning. You can see this polygon. It's red. That's serious. Get to your safe location if you're located within it. This is Lone Oak County into parts of Prairie County, I think, or a little bit further north into parts of White County. But Cabot, you're in that tornado warning. No longer a tornado emergency, but still some serious rotation and serious velocities right there on the radar. So even though it's not a tornado emergency, the situation is still serious, it's still dire. And if you're hearing a tornado warning going off on your phone, you're hearing it going off in sirens, go to your safe place. Don't take the risk, because this storm has already produced tons of damage. We saw trees down on the roadways, and I'm getting some information that Carmen and Keith have.
Thanks, Alex. You know, we use a lot of tools when we're doing this. It's not just looking at the radar. There's a lot of stuff going on in the background. One of them is our weather watchers.
Absolutely. Our weather watcher is out there, was out there in Pottsville, and noticed that rotating wall call out. Now, I wanted to mention, too, what's going on with Keith. You had mentioned it, too. You had never seen something like this before, right? And even with Mayflower, when Keith has been here, yeah, you didn't even see returns like this.
We didn't have that type of return with the velocity data. Anyway, so close to the radar, meaning it's very close to the ground. The other tool we use, besides our weather watchers, power outage maps, that gives us a good indication. Also, our amateur radio operators. We have 2 of them, Josh Carroll and Randy Wright. Randy, thanks for joining us tonight. Certainly a lot more destructive than originally thought. We were only in a 30% enhanced risk. This has turned out to be a very dangerous night. What do you have for us from amateur radio?
Right. Josh is actually on the repeater right now. He's net controller, and if you're a ham radio operator, get on 443.2, and you can be able to talk to him and do your reports in any of these areas that we're watching. But the last reports that have come in is I-40 is blocked at 134. So if you're on I-40, watch out for that, or if you're heading that way. Also, we just had in that Alcoa Road at I-30, they're getting some 1-inch hail, and some more reports are starting to come in now.
Thank you, Randy. Thank you very much. Let's head back over to Alex. And Alex, what are we looking at right now as far as that circulation that was, scary looking earlier, not quite as well organized?
Yeah, a little bit less scary looking, especially because it's not a tornado emergency. It's still a tornado warning. I mentioned it earlier. If you're located within this tornado warning, this is northern parts of Pulaski County, parts of White County, I think included in a little bit in Lone Oak County. I think it's actually past Pulaski County. So this is Lone Oak, White to the north, and then Prairie County off to the east. But there is that rotation. It's still very impressive. The radar located right off the screen right there. So it's still very close to the radar. Still have that green shade very close to the red shade. That's indicating that a tornado is possible there. Again, this tornado warning is radar indicated at this time, but it was saw on the ground at the Little Rock Air Force Base in Jacksonville. So that is going to continue to move off to the east, and now it's located in parts of Lone Oak County. Watonsaw there is located within that tornado warning. It's hard to tell exactly where the tornado is on the ground, and it has been like that for the past 20 or 30 minutes. So that's why I'm telling you, if you're located anywhere within this polygon, Lone Oak, the city, is not included in at least this downtown part closer towards I-40. But I-40 is located in it towards Carlisle and parts east of that. So this is the current tornado warning. I don't think we have any other ones in the state, and there has been some more in Oklahoma. So this night is far from over, as we still have some very serious situations. The current one, again, in Lone Oak County. There's Cabot. If you're in Cabot, get in your safe place just in case. It looks like the storm is a little bit further south and a little bit further east, but it doesn't matter. You won't regret going to your safe space. That means a basement. That means a tornado shelter. And with this storm, even though it's a very strong one, if you do have a house that's on a slab, go to the most inner room of the house. That means no windows. That could be under the stairs. The safest place to protect you from debris, because flying debris poses a huge hazard when it comes to tornadoes, especially one that we've already seen was confirmed on the ground earlier and now is radar indicated as it moves further to the east around 30 miles per hour. So that's the good news. It's relatively slow moving, but it still poses just as much danger as any tornado could. Carmen, I heard you have some new information.
Absolutely. So we're watching the area that you just mentioned too, and yes, you definitely want to move to your safe place right now. If you are in Cabot, if you are in the area where that polygon is, now it is quite possible that we could start to see a tornado on the ground with this. So that is why we are paying attention to this warning. That's why those sirens are going off in Cabot, in Butlerville. In fact, the area that we are watching very closely is east of Cabot, and that's actually going to be heading northeast toward Austin. We already have reports of 2-inch in diameter hail that's coming down. Hail, that continues to be the largest threat with this, but obviously with this storm that we are watching in particular is for the potential for a tornado. So that's what we're watching, and especially what we're watching over there closer to Cabot. So again, that tornado warning until 9:30. We have another 40 minutes on this tornado warned storm over here, and that's what we're watching very closely. You can start to see a little bit of that hook or a little bit of that started to turn shape there just outside of Sylvania, just toward the south. So that's what we're watching very closely here to see if we're going to notice if there will be a tornado with this or not. We've already had an observed tornado over West Arkansas. That was closer to 5:30 in Charleston. The tornado emergency now over for Jacksonville, and that was a confirmed tornado, so would not be surprised if we see another tornado with this system and with this storm, particularly between Cabot and Sylvania, over there closer to Austin, heading that way and heading toward Butlerville. So these are moving around 25 to 30 miles per hour. So again, doesn't seem like those are moving that fast. They really aren't in reality, but these are capable of producing tornadoes, and we've already seen, or at least observed, 2 of those so far. So that's why we are watching that very closely. Again, you can see those bright colors kind of turning around as that moves over Warsaw and toward Cabot, and that's why we do have that tornado warning in effect until 9:30. The tornado emergency that was in effect for Jacksonville, including the Little Rock Air Force Base, that has since been canceled, but we are still seeing severe weather with this. Lots of hail, lots of lightning. In fact, if you notice all that lightning that's focused just south of Beebe and over Cabot where that warning is showing you where the strongest of those storms are right now, and that's what we are watching very closely and will continue to watch with those sirens going off till 9:30.
New tornado warning. We've got a new one has just come out. Is extend further east. Was this talked about earlier? This one is Cabot.
Does it go till
Carlisle.
9:30?
Yes, until 9:30.
That one's till 9:30. Okay. I do want to also point out, Alex, just take a look at this.
I was looking at this one earlier, yes.
Yeah, this next storm sitting out just to the north and northwest of Conway has a telltale hook echo on it.
Yes.
And at this point, probably just at this point, just producing some very large hail. But this is, again, in an area that we've talked about right along that boundary where we could get a spin up that happened very rapidly, like the Mayflower, Jacksonville tornado just a little while ago.
Yeah, so I would like to look at the one that's tornado warned at this point. I think it's still warned, and maybe look at correlation coefficients a little further away from the radar. I honestly think earlier that's the issue we had, that it was just so low we couldn't see any potential debris. But here we go. There's the reflectivity. That's what the rain looks like. Correlation coefficient still not showing too much, which is a really good sign. We like to see that. If there were some brighter whites or blues here, that would be concerning. That means we could be seeing debris in the air. That's basically, we could see leaves, trees, parts of people's houses, shingles could be in the air. Good news, that is not the case, but still a very serious storm. The winds are extremely strong. So the weaker winds are some of these darker greens. The brighter winds are stronger, and that's what we're seeing within this storm. We have those bright green winds going in one direction, the brighter red winds going the other direction, and that's that rotation that tornadoes are. They're a rotation of winds strong enough, obviously, to cause a lot of damage. Still, this red polygon, that means it's a tornado warning. If you're located within that, you're likely getting warnings on your phone. You're likely getting them as a siren. You're likely hearing a tornado siren right now. And what that's telling you is you need to go to your tornado safe place. That is a basement. That's a tornado shelter. That is the innermost room of your house. That's where you'll be the safest. If you're in a mobile home, unfortunately, will not protect you against tornadoes at this time. There is that rotation we've been talking about, still moving further and further to the east. This is Arkansas Highway 13 is where it's moving towards as well. And this is in Lonoke County, moving towards Prairie County at this time. I'm pretty sure still in Lonoke County. It's already past Jacksonville. If you're in Jacksonville, you're in the clear for now. But I say for now seriously because we've seen locations get hit with multiple tornado warnings. So just because you've already seen a tornado warning doesn't mean you can just go to bed for the night. You need to be staying weather aware all through the night as we have these storms continuing to strengthen. They pulse up, they drop a tornado, and then they'll weaken, but we don't know when exactly that will be. So again, if you do hear the sirens going off, you hear the warnings on your phone, go to your safe place immediately. That is right now the current tornado warning from Cabot all the way south of Haley there, down towards Screeton, I'm pretty sure is how you say that, north of Lonoke there, but parts of the town is probably located within that tornado warning. And again, there's the back edge of it. This is that little rotation concerning spot right now. Sylvania, just to the south, is where that tornado, if there's a tornado with this storm, it would be located. This is Arkansas Highway 321. Moving from west to east at around 30 miles per hour. Carmen's been mentioning it. The speed of the tornado doesn't matter. If it's moving slow, it's just going to cause more damage. So it's the speed of the winds within the tornado, and we're seeing that with velocities. They're pretty strong at this time. Carmen, I don't know if you have any new news, or maybe Keith, something new?
I just want to say, this storm we've been watching, it did go through that phase when it became less intense. That's why the warning changed from a catastrophic tornado warning, tornado emergency, to a radar indicated tornado warning. But in just looking at the last couple of frames we're seeing here, it may be getting a bit better organized, and it's something we're going to have to watch very closely because this is an environment that is extremely conducive to tornadoes. I mean, we've seen that all night. This storm essentially developed within about 30 minutes from not a particularly strong or severe thunderstorm to one with the catastrophic tornado that moved through parts of Mayflower and basically has caused enough debris on I-40 to shut it down in the Mayflower area. I do also want to point out further off to the north, this other storm, Alex, possibly bringing some big hail, Springfield back to north of Hickory Hill. Another example of a little bit of a hook there, a hook echo, how these storms have developed and how they instantly become supercells.
Echo that you're mentioning, not right now. It might be, since it looks like this, they might have tornado possible and this warning. It's not a tornado warning at the time, but you can treat it as a tornado warning. If you're nervous, the storm's heading towards Springfield, you live in Springfield, you're hearing the heavy rain, likely hail at this time with those bright pinks, you need to be going to your safe space if you feel like you need to. This is not a tornado warning at the time, but you can see it does have that hook echo where that tornado is concerned. Carmen, you have some new information?
Yeah, the large hail is still coming in. So we're talking about 2-inch in diameter hail. We only need 1 inch. That's the size of a quarter to consider this a severe thunderstorm. So what we're watching is where we have that bright red polygon. This includes Waukesha, includes Butlerville. This is a tornado warning until 9:30. But in addition to the tornado, which is going to be very difficult to see right now because it is, of course, at night, is we do have that very large hail that's going to be damaging hail. So if you are over closer to Butlerville, we do have that severe thunderstorm warning and BB and the tornado warning until 9:30. We also have that tornado warning a little bit farther north too, just south of Heber Springs.
That is a new one.
It looks like a new warning that's
Alex,
just come in.
Yeah, this is the storm. I was just calling you over, Carmen, to reset the situation, but new tornado warning out. Alex, I'll go ahead and get the information up for you. New tornado warning out for parts of Conway and Faulkner counties.
Conway, Faulkner County, there's Conway County right here. Here's Faulkner County, there's that polygon. I think this might be parts of Searcy County if I'm not wrong, but just a small segment of that. But mainly Conway County, Faulkner County, we mentioned it looked like it could have been a tornado, had a little bit of a hook echo, and now it is a radar indicated tornado, that red polygon on your screen. Let's put on velocity here so we can see if we have any really tight couplet. So we have wind in one direction and wind in the other direction, and that usually is caused by that hook echo. So if there is any velocity changes here, Keith, I would like to see if we had any rotation in that hook echo that we're seeing here on reflectivity. So this is reflectivity. It kind of shows where the heaviest rain and hail is, but velocities is where we're concerned about a possible tornado. So there is some pretty strong winds going in one direction and pretty strong going in the other direction. It could be either in this location or up here. I think Keith is focusing on this one a little bit more. Rather broad rotation here. This is Arkansas Highway 9. Hill Creek, you need to be in your safe place right now. That's where the strong winds are at the moment. But it's moving to the east at around 30 miles per hour, going in and zooming in at some more towns and communities and roadways. Springfield, Arkansas, be in your safe place. This is Highway 124. You can see it goes down towards Hill Creek. Very strong winds with this storm. Again, outlining that polygon, it goes to the north. This is 267 down over Cup, Butlerville. This is I-40 down here. You see I-40 is not in that tornado warning, but areas to the north of it is. So if you live in this polygon, this is Arkansas Highway 9 here, going towards Springfield, likely in the path of the strongest winds as this storm continues to move off to the east. Worcester, however you pronounce that, also within that tornado warning. Republican here also included in that tornado warning. Taking a look at some debris indicator, not a whole lot seeing right now. If there was debris, we'd be seeing more of these white and blue colors here, not a whole lot of that. So that's some good news. You don't want to see debris going lofted into the sky being indicated by the radar there. So there's that one tornado warning. That's in parts of Faulkner County, moving into parts of Faulkner County, currently in parts of Conway County. That's north of Morrilton, northeast of Morrilton, and Greenbrier. That's another large community that we're concerned about, that the tornado is moving directly toward, or radar indicated tornado is moving directly towards that location. Carmen, you have some updates?
Well, sure. We're just going to switch out a little bit, too, since we are into our regular Fox programming. What we're doing right now, because we do have a confirmation of tornadoes on the ground since tonight, we have had Arkansas Storm Team come together. So all of our meteorologists together are tracking this, and this has been a situation that has been very dangerous, that has been unfolding. We already had the observed tornado around 5:30 earlier this evening in Charleston, well toward our west. We had the tornado emergency over Jacksonville, the Air Force Base. That has since been canceled, but there was a confirmed destructive tornado with that. We already have homes damaged over in Mayflower because of that tornado, and we currently have a new tornado warning that includes Greenbrier and Springfield. So this is until after 9 o'clock, and that's what we're watching very closely. Now, the returns have not been as dangerous or bright or impressive of what we've been dealing with earlier with what we saw in Jacksonville, but there's still enough rotation there that we could produce a tornado, and that has been evident throughout this evening and tonight that we've seen those tornadoes. Some of those we've seen the funnel come up and then reach the ground and it becomes a tornado, and that's the type of destruction that we're dealing with. That's the type of scenario we're dealing with, and we also have hail. Now, our radar reads right now, where that very bright pink is, that's the area of concern where we're watching. So this is likely some hail. We've already received reports of baseball size hail, golf ball size hail, ping pong size hail, basically large hail here throughout this evening, and that continues to be a problem. Now, what we're looking at right now, velocity, this indicates where there's rotation, and Alex is circling this to show you where that rotation is. So Watt-and-Saw, this includes you. It's basically right over top of you. This is moving east closer to 30 miles per hour, so a track on this. Hazen, heads up, 937, this is moving your way, and based off of velocity, based off of radar alone, it does look like there is that rotation there. So this is what we're watching very closely. south of Butlerville. Now, debris indicator, that is our correlation coefficient. Haven't seen anything too wild here, but now we're starting to see a little bit of rotation of where that could potentially be, or the area of where that could be. Again, the rotation is indicated on radar right now. Not seeing as bright of those colors if you've been watching us since these warnings have been out as what we saw with Jacksonville. That's been something we haven't seen that I think was even worse than that outbreak many years ago, and we had that tornado emergency because of that, because it was an emergency situation. Fortunately, this is not an emergency situation, but it is a tornado warning, so you need to be in your safe spot. If you are south of Butlerville, if you are now east of Cabot, I think you're more or less in the clear right now because that area rotation is now farther east of you, but this is going to be heading farther east just outside of Carlisle as that continues to move. Sherwood, you're out of this. Jacksonville, you're out of this, but the Air Force Base, or at least close to it, we did have that large hail and we did have that confirmed tornado. So it is proven that these storms are producing tornadoes, and that has been evident since 5:30 this evening. Now it's 9:05 at night, and we're still watching that. So we do have that warning that you saw closer to Cabot. Now east of that, we also have a warning in Springfield. Could we get some information on this warning for how long this is? So again, sirens going off in Springfield, sirens going off in Greenbrier. Sirens will continue to go off until 9:45 p.m. So that tornado warning is including Conway, Faulkner, Van Buren until 9:45. Damascus, you are also under this tornado warning. Center Ridge, you're right on the line, but you're under severe thunderstorm warning. So hail will continue to be a problem here. Large, damaging hail. We're talking about to your windshields, to your car. If you can pull off the road, if you can get to a carport or garage, that's going to be good for you, and it's going to be good for your car, that's for sure. Severe thunderstorm warning, again, that includes Center Ridge, the tornado warning, and Greenbrier. Are we noticing any sort of rotation there on velocity that you've seen, Keith or Alex? If we do look at that.
Are you talking about that new severe thunderstorm warning?
Well, the tornado warning over Springfield, I haven't seen anything too impressive as far as the rotation goes with that.
It's rather broad, but,
Yeah. It's talking about right here.
but all of these storms, and this one has some broad rotation as well, just south of Hector, over in Pope County. Again, this is just, at this point, a severe thunderstorm warning. And let me just get some, why don't we click on that information and see what that goes until, you know, how long that warning lasts. And that,
9:45.
that's until 9:45. It looks like we're looking at $half size hail. So these storms have been producing hail at least $half size in diameter, Carmen.
Yeah, big time.
Okay,
Alex, did you have something?
Alex?
Yeah, but I was just saying this storm that we're looking at right now is the same exact setup as the one that's over Springfield right now, where we had just the tornado warning, and then it turned into, we had just a severe thunderstorm warning, excuse me, and then it immediately turned to a tornado warning very fast. So we can list some of these towns, Carmen, that this might be turning into a tornado warning here in the next 20 to 30 minutes.
And, you know, we've seen that all night tonight. We said every one of these was going to be a supercell. And supercells don't always produce tornadoes, but you have to have a supercell to get a tornado.
Exactly, right. And they've been capable of producing it. It's been proven that they've produced it too, starting at 5:30 in Charleston. So what Alex pointed out too, and that's a really good point, severe thunderstorm warning, just because there's not a tornado warning doesn't mean that we couldn't see a tornado come out of some of these storms. That's what's been the case all evening and will continue to be the case for tonight. So Hector, you could be in the line of this where we might see a little bit of rotation. Again, this is a bit more broad, I think, for National Weather Service to issue a warning.
I do want to point out this severe thunderstorm warning is what's called a tornado possible warning.
Yes.
Because of that circulation. So
Right.
I want every, just for safety reasons, tonight, for the rest of tonight, every severe thunderstorm
Right.
warning, possible tornado in it.
Yeah, expect that could happen here, and it's already been proven to be the case. So no risk in trying to, play with fire, I should say, because that's what these storms are. We know that they've produced damage. We know that they've produced tornadoes. And yes, it is possible that there could be a tornado with this one. That's why we're watching this rotation very closely. That's why we have the tools on radar that we are looking at to indicate that. We do have that tornado warning that's still in effect there for Greenbrier, for Springfield, because of this storm right here, because of that supercell. We also have the tornado warning a little bit farther south and east. Alex, if we could go a little bit closer to BB and Cabot, I know we do have a lot of viewers down there. You're under that severe thunderstorm warning. What we're watching, oh, now that actually looks like a pretty good hook right there. So that's what we're watching for any sort of rotation for some of these colors. So right around here, again, we were looking at this earlier with Waukesha, south of Butlerville. That's what we're watching very closely. That's why that tornado warning, Alex, if you could put that info up, that tornado warning is in effect for Butlerville, for Waukesha, including Lonoke and Prairie counties until 9:30 p.m. So right now our time is 9:09, and this is what we're watching right here for some of that rotation. Alex, are you noticing any other rotation that's starting to pop up within any of these severe thunderstorms, within any of these supercells that we're watching?
Well, I did see there is a storm moving through the south side of Little Rock right now. It's not really concerning. There's no warning, but there is some heavy rain going towards I-30.
Let's get in a little bit closer on that, just to let folks know.
that they're
Sometimes
safe.
it's good to know there
Yeah.
isn't a lot going on. And
No velocities.
Yeah.
no velocity to speak of, but you're going to see some heavy rain
Maybe some
along
hail.
Arkansas Highway 360.
Up toward 530,
365.
toward south well, not quite south interchange, but getting toward that in Woodyardville.
Yeah,
So yeah,
that-
nothing severe there, but heavy rain. Wouldn't be surprised if we see a little bit of hail with that too. Again, our warned storms are farther north or farther east. Center Ridge, you're actually in that severe thunderstorm warning, but the polygon for that tornado warning is just outside of you all. Springfield, what we're watching are for this hook right here, those kinks, and also that darker red, that bright pink on radar. Now we've switched over to velocity, showing the green and the red, indicating the possible rotation with these storms. So that is circled right now by Alex. Again, that is south of Springfield right now. Could we zoom in even farther? Let's see if we can get any streets out there. And that is, you can see closer to Stones Point Road. Looks like it's headed toward Arrowhead Road. So based off of radar and velocity, rotation alone would indicate that's where this could possibly be as far as anything that could produce a tornado. So we are dealing with a lot of that. Again, Wooster, you are going to be in this path for that tornado warning. If we could zoom back out, Menifee, that's just north of you all. Again, that severe thunderstorm warning, we're watching for the area that's just north and east of Russellville, where maybe we could see something that's produced that could be tornadic there. So we're watching this spot right here, northeast of Russellville. We're watching this spot right here, that is southwest of Greenbrier, and this hook right here onto radar. And then if we scroll a little bit farther south and east, just east of Cabot, we're also watching for the potential for a tornado that comes out of that. Again, that warning until 9:30 p.m. The severe thunderstorm warning, is that also until 9:30, Alex?
Yeah, I think it still does. It's the same warning, I'm pretty sure. That's
Same
part of
warning,
Lonoke
yeah.
County into Prairie County.
Right.
But that's definitely one of the most serious storms that we're having on the map right now. You can see it has some very bright colors as far as as far as the winds go, so very strong winds. And then we also have that hook echo that's
Right.
just south of Butlerville, moving very slow. Carmen, when you were talking about it just a few minutes ago, it really hasn't moved that far. So
Right.
Moving east at, I think, 30 miles per hour still in this particular
East at
case,
30
yeah.
miles per hour. So we haven't seen much strengthening with this, but it is maintaining what we are currently seeing. And when we start to see that hook, that's the potential for something tornadic developing. This is textbook of what we typically see. So again, this is south of Butlerville. It's south of Edwards. Butlerville, you are under this warning, the tornado warning. So is Waukesha, but it's really the area right here between Butlerville and Waukesha that we are watching. Again, this is now east of Cabot, so Cabot, things are probably dying down for you all. Jacksonville, you had that large and destructive tornado closer to the Air Force Base. Now things have died down for you all. Valonia, Union Valley, Lonoke, things have died down there, but we had some very large hail. And you can see just on velocity, just over the past hour, notice the swirling bright colors coming together. This is what we're watching right here. So that same storm that you saw move through Jacksonville, where that tornado emergency was, those very distinct bright colors, that's showing that, very impressive. Not as noticing very bright colors there right now, but that's that same storm that produced a tornado emergency over in Jacksonville. So this has already been capable and already did produce that tornado, and now we're watching it very closely there with that new warning, or the same warning I should say, that is now east of Cabot. Here in Greenbrier, heads up, you do have an area of rotation that is broad. So this is not super tight. When you start to notice it getting closer together, the colors getting brighter, that's indicative of a little bit more of that rotation and perhaps something tornadic. So we're not seeing that quite yet, but it's enough to produce that tornado warning. That's why National Weather Service has that issued, and that is getting closer and closer to Greenbrier. That is north of Conway. Conway, you're in the clear right now. Mayflower, we already had that damage. Things have died down there, but these cells are continuing to produce what would be capable of tornadoes. Keith?
Thank you. I do want some reports that have come in. From air traffic control at Little Rock Air Force Base, no immediate reports of any damage. That doesn't mean there hasn't been any, but at least from air traffic control, from the flight line there, no immediate reports of any damage. Certainly good news. This was an incredibly strong supercell that went from Mayflower east along Arkansas Highway 89, I believe it was. But something else to talk about, we mentioned this, Alex and I were talking a little bit earlier, we mentioned on the air that the storms are following up the boundary, and you might have remembered I talked about that in the 4, 5, and 6 o'clock newscast. They're following this boundary with the cooler air to the north, and as they turn right around Conway, and this is something the National Weather Service has also noticed, they start to increase in intensity, and we're getting that right now with the storm up north of Conway around Greenbrier. If we can go back to the radar on that and just take a look at the structure of the storm, at least as far as the hook echo is concerned. It actually, there's some reasoning to it that as the storm kind of heads a little bit more to the south and east, it is starting to turn right and following the edge of that boundary. We'll have to wait and see if it could spin up enough to prompt a continuation of the tornado warning. But again, right in this area, right near Greenbrier, folks in Greenbrier, let's get in really tight on that, Alex, so we can get a tight look at the Greenbrier area. Some very large hail potential along and north of Arkansas Highway 225, getting really close to US 65. This is the circulation at this point, and it's right on the edge of the tornado warning. That's why we always say, don't just draw the lines and forget about it if you're on the other side of the line. This circulation is very close to the edge of that tornado warned area. So in the Worcester area over toward Greenbrier, Linder, just north of where 64 and 65 come together, north of Conway, that's where we have that potential rotation. And if it continues on this track more to the right, with relative to the storm, that would prompt the National Weather Service to put a warning out in a more southeasterly direction. That might include areas just north of Conway and closer to north of Lonia. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but based on what we've seen this evening, these storms have kind of wrapped up that way, where they make that right turn and get a lot stronger as they head south. That happened in the Mayflower area. We'll see if it happens to this storm. Back to the north and west, Alex, this other severe thunderstorm warning we've got, still a bit of a hook here as well. Remember, a hook echo doesn't necessarily mean there's a tornado, but it shows organization in the storm. And we are seeing that right here on the back end of that storm, that hook, the telltale hook. We're seeing that circulation right near Stumptoe, just to the west, to the west of the Jerusalem area. That's where we're getting that circulation. That's where we're getting the strongest part of the storm. Again, the large hail up around Stumptoe, the circulation with the storm, although not a tornado at this point, something to be watched, just to the west of Jerusalem. A wider view now, let's take a look at a wider view of what's going on across the state. Good news is, out in Oklahoma, where we showed you all those tornado warnings earlier, those storms have weakened considerably. In fact, in many cases, they've completely dissipated. A sign the atmosphere is starting to stabilize. Certainly good news. We're at 9:18 in the evening. That watch, the tornado watch, goes until 11 o'clock. And we're already seeing signs that these storms that were tornado warned a little bit earlier and also warned for hail and damaging winds have already started to weaken. In fact, the one particular right here, just to the west of Mena, completely dissipating. So let's hope that trend continues and we can get things to start winding down for the night. But again, It's why when we talked about this watch being different than the normal watches where a cold front comes through and we have that front move through and then they drop the watch behind the front. That's not the case tonight because everything that's popped up numerous times in this area in the River Valley has become tornadic or with large hail and damaging winds. So that's why we have that watch that is still in effect, because it's going to take the atmosphere to begin to stabilize to finally get these storms to start winding down. Let's check over with Alex for the latest. Alex?
Yeah, so we're just taking a look at those two storms right now that have the current tornado warnings. We have a couple local storm reports. Most of them have been hail tonight. So the tornado is obviously the most destructive, but these storms have been elevated, which means they can create large hail. We've had reports of softball size hail, baseball size hail. The most recent reports, not quite as impressive, but quarter size to $half size, that's 1.5 inch size hail have been reported. So we do still have two current tornado warnings, that one moving toward Greenbrier, but the rotation a little bit further south. We mentioned just because they might be looking like they're moving from exactly west to east right now, they're kind of moving in the southeastern direction. So there is those two tornado warnings, and Carmen can cover this stronger one that we've been watching on the wall that's been south of Butlerville for quite a while, and we'll change it to velocity for you, Carmen.
Sure thing. Yeah, so it's still until 9:30 p.m. Now, we're noticing those colors. Now, could you go back to radar just for a second, because we keep mentioning this thing called a hook, right? That literally looks like a hook, like Captain Hook's hook is how I kind of look at it for a meteorologist. And that's what we're looking at. So he's circling it. Alex is circling it right now over Highway 13. So again, this is east of Butlerville. It is east of Watonsaw. And then it looks like that's actually becoming a little bit more linear. That's starting to straighten a little bit. So we're not dealing with as much of a hook, but this is still an area that we're watching very closely, especially because the storms that we have seen have already produced tornadoes. The very bright pink, the very dark red, this is also indicating a lot of reflectivity, possible hail. We've already received 1.5 inch diameter hail in Benton. We will likely see some hail with this getting closer to Haley and Edwards. If we can zoom out a little bit, I do want to show where this is in relation to Little Rock, just for people who are tuning in now or haven't been watching since this evening and tonight. It's been a very dangerous situation here as far as the weather is concerned. So there's Cabot. You're in the clear. Alex is drawing just where this is. This is about 29 miles, 30 miles northeast of Little Rock. Little Rock, you are not under any warnings. You are not under any threat for tornadoes right now. No threat for hail or even heavy rain. But we are watching that tornado warning over there until 9:30 p.m. And that includes areas farther south of BB. So Childers, heads up, 9:43 for you. DeVal's Bluff, that's until 10:01, or that's when that's going to be moving through. And Brassfield, closer to 10:06. We also have that tornado warning a little bit farther north. Alex, if we can go and check on that and just see what the status is, if we've seen any changes. So far, I've been hearing reports of the most damage over in Mayflower, and also where we've seen house damage, Lake Conway. Also, we've been dealing with some damage, some reports there. Outside of that, power is out over in Mayflower. Because of that, we also have a little bit of broad rotation now between Conway and Greenbrier. So that tornado warning, that one is still until 9:30, correct? If we can just go ahead and get a code on that so you all can see where we're talking about the information. Oh, until 9:45 p.m. So again, we have about 20 more minutes on this one for Conway, Faulkner, Van Buren. Again, this rotation, it is broad, but as we've seen through the course of this evening and tonight, all night, we've noticed that has produced some tornadoes. Now, I'm wondering with my producer, do we have that video that was sent in by our viewer? I've been receiving some other hail reports as well around the area. So this is the video. Annette Bradley sent this in. She is a viewer of us. You can see this is over in Conway and Faulkner County. This was earlier. That does look a little bit like a funnel. It is hard to tell though, so I cannot confirm this, but she did send this in. It could possibly be scud, it could be a funnel, but considering the storms and the nature that we've been dealing with, that's possible. We've already have damage in Conway, or at least around Lake Conway, I should say, Faulkner County. That's where this is. Again, Annette Bradley sent this in. She is a viewer of ours. So that zoomed in. You can tell whether that is a funnel or was a funnel confirmed or not. It just shows you how ominous it is out there right now, how dark it is, and it's difficult to see that. Our storm chasers, I know they are still out there as well, so we'll be able to check in with them hopefully in a little bit and see where they are staked out and stationed for this. But this will continue to be a busy evening. Looks like that tornado warning still in effect there. We have a severe thunderstorm warning for Faulkner and White until 10:15. So severe thunderstorm warning south of Clinton. Severe thunderstorm warning for Faulkner and White counties until 10:15. So it's 9:24. We still have severe weather warnings out there till past 10 o'clock. And then we also have that severe thunderstorm warning and tornado warning south of BB. Alex.
Make these tornadoes seem like they're not something to take seriously. Very seriously, if you're in a tornado warning, take shelter immediately. But we have seen tornado warnings being cut off in the back, which usually means that they are weakening or maybe won't be warned any longer.
Yeah, that's right. Now, this new warning that has come out, and I'm going to go ahead and bring up the radar a little bit closer in. New severe thunderstorm warning, replacing the tornado warning for Greenbrier. This particular one is going to be a mainly damaging straight line wind threat, and you can actually see the bow echo trying to form there between Conway and Greenbrier. Now, this is a tornado possible severe thunderstorm warning, and it also is a considerable damage threat severe thunderstorm warning. So it's a new level the National Weather Service has, level 3 out of 4, 1 being the least significant severe thunderstorm warning, with 4 being the most significant. So this is a 3 out of 4. So this is something I need you folks to take seriously up along, we'll say US 64, north of US 64 over to Valonia.
Absolutely. Yeah, you made a great point too with that bow that's starting to form. So when we start to see this turn more into a bow, I know we've been talking about commas and hooks. Now we're talking about bows, like a bow and arrow. That's when there's that threat for damaging wind. And so that line is starting to become a little bit more confined. Can we zoom in a little bit closer to where that wind threat is? Again, that's between Greenbrier and Conway, just outside of Worcester. We just saw some of that video of those severe thunderstorms from one of our viewers, and that is going to continue to be moving farther east through the course of this evening. Could we get a little bit of a track on this so we can just give people some heads up? Either way, Conway, be prepared for some of this wind strengthening. Linder, you are right in the path of that. And Holland, you'll eventually be in that path as well. So the timing of this, Holland, expect it closer to 9:40. Valonia, if that maintains its strength, you could be dealing with some damaging winds here closer to about 10:50. El Paso, closer to 10 o'clock. And Romance, a little bit after 10 o'clock. So the orientation, the direction of these storms, since this evening and tonight, they have been tracking east. Most of the time, it's been about 25 to 30 miles per hour. So these are able to produce a lot of rainfall as they move right around 25 to 30. They've also produced quite a bit of hail. We've seen that in Benton. We've seen that all over the state with these supercells. Little Rock has just been out of the path of this, but areas outside of Little Rock have seen that. So that's what we're watching for the wind right here, that bright green just outside of 65. That's going to be moving toward Linder soon. Can we go ahead and get a little bit of a wider view of what these storms are doing? I just want to show people how long these are going to last and where they are. Okay.
Alex is going to cover that for us now.
Yeah, we can look at the state view on Max 2 here, and it shows kind of the whole situation. We do have those 2 tornado warnings right now. They have been weakening over the past 20 or 30 minutes, which is great news. But again, if you are seeing a tornado warning, if you're getting alerted, you hear the sirens, get in your safe place immediately. But overall, the event has died down a lot. We had 3+ tornado warnings in Oklahoma. Those have since decreased to just severe thunderstorm warnings. Overall, for this event, it is weakening, which is something that we love to see. But still, we are seeing tornado watches. We do have that tornado watch, which means there's the possibility of a tornado until 11 p.m. So by 11 p.m., that's when the Storm Prediction Center, National Weather Service, is thinking this will likely become weaker. The energy will be not enough to sustain tornadoes. But again, going back to those tornado warnings we're seeing right now, the overall picture relatively quiet other than the two powerful storms that we're seeing right now. There's the one over towards Greenbrier, likely to see that tornado warning postponed or dropped, excuse me. And then the one that's east of Cabot, that's in Lonoke County going into Prairie County. That one also showing some signs of weakening, Carmen, but overall still a serious event.
Absolutely still serious. We still have those warnings out there. If we can go ahead and switch over to Max 1. I do want to give a glimpse here. I know people have not always been tuning in this whole time. This has been an event that's been unfolding with everything severe since 5:30 this evening. So I want to go over the warnings that we're focused on right now that are leading to the most concern, and that's where those tornado warnings are. So one of those is north of Carlisle. This is outside of Little Rock. That one is until 9:30 p.m. The one over Greenbrier in Springfield, that is until 9:45 p.m. for Conway, Faulkner, and Van Buren counties. We also have severe thunderstorm warnings that are closer to those areas as well, and that is what we are watching closely too. This for damaging wind as well as large hail, and we've already seen that. That one that you can see just outside of Clinton, south of that, is until 9:45. The one that is farther east of Beebe as well as Carlisle, severe thunderstorm warnings until 10 and 10:15. So we do have quite a bit of time left on this, closer to 45 minutes left with these warnings that we are seeing across the state. We still have the tornado watch until 11 p.m. that Alex just showed you. That includes much of the state. The tornado warning that we were watching over there closer to Carlisle, that has expired. So now we have one tornado warning out there currently. That is north of Conway, in between Center Ridge and Conway. So we're still watching that one very closely. We have 4 severe thunderstorm warnings, again, all outside of Little Rock right now. So all of those supercells concentrated toward our north. I want to zoom out even farther because you can see we're tracking what's moving in from the west. These have been tracking either due east or slightly east-northeast. So all of this moving west to east, pretty typical of the storm movement. Now, we like looking and seeing what's going on farther west to see, is there any more severe potential out there? And it looks like there's one more severe thunderstorm warning in Oklahoma. That is moving east, so we will likely see more of this. But overall, this threat is starting to lessen a little bit, but it is still there. So do be prepared through the course of this evening and tonight. The tornado warning that we were watching earlier, that has been canceled. So currently, there are no tornado warnings out there right now, but we do have severe thunderstorm warnings that are in place. So that includes areas just north of Conway and Greenbrier, Center Ridge, as well as just outside of Beebe. So tornado warnings, those have all been canceled. We, of course, are in the Fox newscast right now, Arkansas Storm Team. The mode has been activated currently, but I do think the plan would probably be to switch.
Well, what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and continue. Let's kind of do a wrap-up of what we got going on. I know, Alex, you just did it, but in fact, Alex, why don't you drive?
Okay.
And Alex is good at driving the computer. You get to see behind the scenes or in front of the scenes. And then Alex will go there, and then we'll do it in height order. No, not quite. I'm the shortest one here. It has been a busy night, folks. First of all, Carmen, we have the tornado watch still in effect.
We still have the tornado watch in effect. That is until 11 p.m. this evening. So we are going to continue to watch that, but we do not have any active tornado warnings that are in effect right now. So we still have the severe thunderstorm warnings. These storms have been capable of producing tornadoes. That's why this is this very serious effect, something that we are taking very seriously here, because just because there aren't any tornado warnings, we're still watching that. But fortunately, right now, those tornado warnings have expired.
Right, and so the atmosphere kind of calming down a little bit. There's still a lot of potential there.
Right.
But, we're talking about the instability has decreased considerably.
Right.
So, like we talked about, Alex, we were talking earlier, about the storms in Oklahoma.
Right.
Those have pretty much dissipated,
Those have
which
died
is
down.
good news.
There's only one more. So that's the good news. We're on kind of the dying trend of this. We're still taking it seriously because we've seen what has happened. But yes, we're now on the downward end of it. 11 p.m. is until the watch is in effect until 11 o'clock, the tornado watch.
So there's those 4 tornado warnings. They're all tornado possible. They're not tornado
Yeah, the
warnings.
severe
Tornado
thunderstorm
possible.
warnings.
Hail, though, is also a huge threat with those. We've seen hail upwards of an inch. We have radar indicated a system where, if you can turn it to radar, actually I can show you right here on your screen. You can show where the radar was. This is where the radar indicated what has already fallen, and you can see in those brighter reds, over 2 inches in diameter hail has been reported in these storms. Because on your screen there's no red polygons, there's no tornado warnings, it doesn't mean you're not going to see a lot of damage potential at your house where these severe thunderstorm warnings are. So just because they're not tornado warnings doesn't mean you don't want to take them seriously. Take them very seriously. Bring your car inside because hail is a big threat, and it has been a big threat here over the last 4 to 6 hours. So far, the rotation, the spin in the atmosphere has died down a bit. That's what we like to see. That's why there aren't any current tornado warnings right now. There is the tornado possible within all these severe thunderstorm warnings. Again, 4 different severe thunderstorm warnings. One to the north there, to the east of Pope County. That's over towards parts of Cedar Ridge, north and east of Russellville. The other severe thunderstorm warning north of Conway, and then the other 2 are east of Cabot at this time. 4 large hail, strong winds, and possible tornado. That's right now the biggest threat.
All right, as you know, we're gonna continue the coverage up until 10 o'clock. I know we normally go back to regular programming, but